Hello, community. I'm Dr. Shemya Vaughn. Yes, I am back. I am the creator of A Cup of Therapy. And so on this channel, I'm going to focus on women of color and trans women of color who are part of the queer community who live with anxiety, depression, and are recovering from childhood trauma. Also, on this channel and in my coaching practice and in my therapy practice, I help women improve their mental health. I help them accomplish their goals. I help them heal in community. So, this YouTube channel does not constitute a therapy client relationship or a coaching client relationship. So, what about today? This week, we're going to focus on energy drains. Energy drains. I hope I said that right. I'm talking about people, places, and things that exhaust us, right? I am a licensed therapist in California and Missouri. So women who live in one of those states can meet with me for a free consultation to decide if we are a good fit for traditional therapy. For those interested in wellness coaching or joining a group coaching session, you can go to my website, shemyatherapy.com, and see what the therapy options and coaching options are. Okay, so I can already tell that I will need a nap after this video, and you may need one too. Because, like I said before, today we are talking about energy drains. These are the people, places, and things that we feel tired just thinking about. And when we engage with these people, places, and things, we leave feeling emotionally exhausted. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. So let's start with the people. People who drain your energy. These can be relatives, friends, coworkers, or neighbors. Every time, we talk to them, they are complaining about something. They never see their role in a problem and they just complain about it, right? And they do not plan to ever take any action to change the situation. They just enjoy complaining about it to you over and over again. You have probably misunderstood your role as a helper. And so when they start complaining, you start offering solutions. This is not your role for complainers who are energy drained. They are doing a monologue. And according to them, your role is to be the audience. That is why they are draining. While sometimes we all complain, we all vent, right? It's part of life. We usually get it out of our system and then we turn the focus on the other person, right? So, for example, oh my God, I hate my job. It is so damn stressful. My supervisor always blah, 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 right? Enough about me. What is new with you? Right? This gives the other person an opportunity to share good news or bad news. Reciprocal conversations are mutually beneficial. I promise. I promise. Right? So, when someone is an energy drain, they decrease the amount of, when someone is an energy drain, you decrease the amount of access they have to you or discontinue the relationship. Save yourself, right? Next, we have to mention the places that drain our energy. For most people, it is their workplace, the DMV, the IRS, if you have to go inside the offices and not just call. Sometimes it's a town, sometimes it's a neighborhood, sometimes it's a city. Those can all be examples of energy drains that are places, not people, right? So you wake up early to get to work, and before you can set your items down, your phone is ringing. Someone is dialing you on Teams, right? You hear that sound. You know what sound I'm talking about from Microsoft Teams. Your email notifications are going off, bloop, 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 right? Your supervisor drops by your office to tell you about a new company policy that has no rhyme or reason. And then a coworker asks if you want to go to lunch with the group instead of eating at your desk. You are tired at the top of the workday, right? So when I said you get up early and you go to work, and I gave you all those examples of that's just how you start your day. So take a deep breath. If your main energy drain is work, learn to decenter work. Develop an identity outside of what you do for a living. We ask kids what they want to be when they grow up, setting them up for a lifetime of over identifying with their profession. Maybe we should ask them what they like to do instead, right? So that they don't go down the same rabbit hole that we did. Maybe we can get rid of that terrible question altogether and ask about their mental health, even, especially high school students, right? When they're graduating, what are you going to do? What are you going to do after this? Let's worry about their mental health, right? I'm just suggesting it, right? So, wow, you are graduating this year. Congratulations. That sounds exciting and scary. How are you feeling about it? Versus, are you going to college? What are you going to major in, right? We can start decentering work in high school. So, similar to people who are energy drains, if a place is an energy drain, you probably avoid going. If this if it is a place of errands, right? So like the DMV, the grocery store, the post office, consider taking a friend with you, right? Do it, run errands together. Or use earphones to listen to an exciting podcast while you wait in line, right? Something that will keep your mind focused on something else while you're doing something mundane. However, do not call people on FaceTime or put personal calls on speakerphone, or you become part of the energy drain in public. I am hoping the people that are attracted to this channel are not those folks, right? When you're sitting in line at the DMV and then you hear a loud noise, and it's either someone watching videos on their phone or someone having a conversation through FaceTime. Now, now, earphones are cheap. I think the pods or whatever that just hang out of your ear, those might be expensive, but I'm sure there's a cheap pair somewhere. And then the old school ones that connect to the phone, they're like $10 in Walgreens or something. Like, please don't become a part of the noise pollution that is an energy drain for some people. Right? I'm just asking, can I respect other people's right to silence in public? Right? Can we be considerate of others and make personal calls when we are alone? Please consider avoiding this behavior if I have described you. I'm judging you. Yeah, this is not one of those unconditional positive regards, I'm not judging you thing. If you FaceTime in public or listen to videos on your phone in public, please stop. If, however, your energy drain is a place you cannot avoid, work, your child's school, right, etc., um, you can create a transition routine to enter the space, a transition routine to exit the space. For example, if you are emotionally exhausted when you have to attend a parent teacher conference or an IEP meeting, if you know, you know, schedule some time before the meeting to listen to calming music, practice deep breathing exercises, and regulate your nervous system. Then, after the meeting, we're still not done, right? So, after the meeting, find a quiet place to go sit still and process the information. What information is within your control? How can you use your values to approach this content? Schedule some time to make an action plan and then continue with your day. This is really helpful for anything that is an energy drain. As long as you have some quiet time to process before and after, you can usually decrease the feelings of exhaustion afterwards. Now, if there are some energy drains, such as doing laundry, cleaning, cooking, driving, Consider consider increasing your income or adjusting your budget to have someone else do this for you. I am not joking. I know we cannot all afford to hire staff. I certainly can't. But we can price the local laundry service in town. We can look into a meal plan delivery service. We can price the local maid companies in our town. We can estimate the cost of taking Uber versus paying a car note and car insurance and car maintenance and gas money and all of that. You cannot remove all of the energy drains from your life, but you can select one that causes you the most stress and outsource it. So, example, I hate budgeting and paying bills. It is so stressful and depressing. I adjusted my spending and saving until I was able to put all of my bills on auto pay to relieve myself of this energy drain. So get creative with your thinking. Have a brainstorming session with your partner or with friends. What is one thing you hate doing that you can automate or outsource, right? You can delegate to someone else. Energy drains are complicated, right? They do not only cause physical and emotional exhaustion, they can lead to physical medical problems over time if it's causing chronic stress. So, this is also why we procrastinate or socially isolate when we do. We are not just overwhelmed with people, places, and things, they are actively making us tired. You have the power to shift how you deal with these energy drains. Pick one person, one place, or one thing, schedule some time next week, and create a solution for getting rid of it or revising your relationship with that specific person. I was right. I need a nap after discussing energy drains. But before I take my nap, I want to check in with you. So I'll start with the first question. What is going to be your priority for this week? Each Sunday, it is a good idea to decide how you want to spend your time this week. Do you need to focus on rest? Do you need to complete a specific task? Do you need to get your home deep cleaned and decluttered? Right? The list goes on. However, to avoid overwhelm, we want to focus on one thing only. We will do several other tasks throughout the week, of course, right? That's life. But something needs to be triaged above the rest. For example, I need to get all of my documents together to renew my licensure for the state of Missouri, right? Every 2 years, we have to renew our license. And this year, Missouri has a new process. They have a new, um, system online that you use to renew your license. Whenever a process changes, I know me. I procrastinate on learning the new system, devising a new keyword, doing the two-factor authentication, like all of that shit, right? I know this about myself. So for one full week before the deadline, I set aside all of the tasks to focus on licensure renewal. This is a trick I play with myself. I block out time to do it each day, and I just keep moving that time block until my energy level is available and the timeline, lines up. So I can get shit done once I make the decision to do so. And I never turn something in the day it's due, right? I didn't even do that as a student. I wanted to turn things in early just in case something went wrong, electricity goes out, internet stops working, whatever. I want space to either for something to go wrong or if I turn it in and it's incorrect and I have time to fix it and resubmit it, right? So I am not that person that says, oh, I work best under pressure. That is not me. That is not me. So that means I have to schedule time to start on the thing, and then I just keep procrastinating on it until it's time to go ahead and do it. All right, so question 2. Who or what drained your energy last week, right? So I just gave a whole monologue about energy drains, the dementors, we'll call them, right? So every week, a person, place, or thing really tries our nerves, correct? Right? I'm not alone in this. It is sometimes a relative, It is sometimes a coworker, sometimes it's traffic, sometimes it's an unexpected bill, and sometimes it is our place of employment. Just seeing the building can make you tired, right? And so I've been a commuter where I drive, to work. I've been a walker where I walk to work. It doesn't matter. If I don't like where I work, as soon as I see the building or the street name, I start to get tired. I don't care if I just woke up, I'm suddenly tired. So, what about your experience last week? Who drained or who depleted your energy? Or maybe it was a what that drained you, right? People, places, and things can emotionally drain us if we let them. You do have control over this. I want to remind you of that. If a person drained your energy, spend less time interacting with them this week to give your mind and body a break from that negative interaction. That's the simplest way to reset, right? Just take a break from it. If it was a place that drained your energy, spend some time doing deep breathing exercises before entering the space and after leaving the space, right? Create some time, right? Don't rush from one thing to another. Center yourself. So we want to prepare ourselves for a negative experience. And once we leave that space that is a negative experience, we want to release that negative energy to increase our emotional capacity for joy, right? You don't want a bad day at work to ruin the rest of your night because then you're giving them all your time, right? So this is an opposite question. So question 3 is who or what made you feel complete or whole last week? Right? So this is the opposite question from number 2. I just asked about energy drains because we must acknowledge that they exist. But now I want to know who or what is pouring into you. Like who made you feel complete last week? What experience made you feel whole all over again? Sometimes we have an emotional connection with someone or a deep and stimulating conversation. And that quality time together helps us feel less lonely, less disjointed, right? Less all over the place. And sometimes we have an experience where it is Humpty Dumpty territory, if you know that nursery rhyme. Something or someone puts us back together again after we fall apart, right? So, who or what was that for you last week? When we feel complete or whole, we are entering thriving territory. So, if you are recovering from childhood trauma, you know what I'm talking about. It's when you are no longer just surviving, just getting by, just making it through the day. You found a new purpose. You discover a new reason for living. You remember what love is, how to give it, and how to receive it. All of those things are important. So, for example, my amazing daughter, my comfortable private practice, and my purpose driven coaching practice, and my small group of close friends, they help me to feel whole and complete each week, right? So it's the way I've constructed my life and the people I have in my life that helps me feel whole and complete. So, question 4, who or what did you avoid last week? Don't lie, right? Whose calls are you ignoring? Who did you tell you were out of town and could not see them, but you're in town, right? Why do we do this? Why is it so hard to tell people, go away or I need space? I am not encouraging the ghosting of others, but I will do it in a minute if I think the person is too unreasonable to let it go, right? So if I've told you, I need some space, or I don't want to see you anymore, or I don't want to be friends anymore, and you keep coming at me, I'm going to have to go. I try to be emotionally mature and tell you we need to end whatever we're doing. But if you keep coming for me, then I just disappear. So if I'm upset with someone, right, and I want time to cool off, please give me space and don't push it because I will communicate. You know what? I need some time. I will communicate it. So just agree with it or don't and go away. right? Asking a million questions about what you did to piss me off only angers me more. Plus, I suspect you're only asking questions to debate me and convince me not to be upset with you. Miss me with that shit. Like who has time, who has time for all that? We're adults here. So that's about a who if you've been avoiding a person. Or what if it's a what, right? So what task are you putting off? Or did you put off? I'm sorry, last week, right? What duties are you procrastinating on? Why do we do this? At the offset, I know whether or not I want to do something. As soon as I agree to it or disagree, like no, I'm not doing that, right? I know immediately if I want to do something. Once I determine if I want to do it, I reflect on if I need to do it, right? So if it has a deadline, I put it off until the week of the deadline, right? Not the night before. I already told you I don't do that kind of stuff. But if it has no deadline, but it is urgent, then I delegate it or try to finish it within 24 to 48 hours. Because if I really don't want to do something, I'm the kind of person, let me do it as soon as possible so I don't have to think about it anymore, especially if it's required but unpleasant, right? If it is a favor for someone, I will either do it as soon as possible or I will pay someone else to do it, right? So if you're asking me for a favor, do you care how it gets done, right? I want to help people when I can, when I am able to, and I have the desire to help them. So I will say no if I don't want to help them, or if my own needs require prioritizing. It is helpful to know what your emotional needs are before you help others, right? So if someone asks me, "Oh, this weekend, can you do fill in the blank?" I don't say, "Oh, sure, no problem." I don't say that. Take a pause. I don't answer right away because I need to remember what are my plans already for the weekend? Am I planning to rest this weekend so I didn't make plans on purpose? I need to center my needs before I can prioritize someone else's needs. Engaging in self neglect, you're not doing anybody any favors. You're just going to resent the person or just flake on them. And that's not nice. Just tell them no up front. Okay, so question five here. What boundary did you establish that you want to enforce this week? So last week something happened, and then this week you're like, I gotta create a boundary. But boundaries are tricky, aren't they? Um, we tend to establish a boundary, but then chicken out when it comes time to communicate it and enforce it. This is called self neglect. This is another form of self neglect. So if you have a need and then you ignore it, I promise you, over time, you will resent the people who prioritize themselves. That's not fair. You should just be doing that as well, right? Learn from them. It is not selfish to center your own needs before centering the needs of others. I can't help you. I can't help you if I've neglected myself. So when we establish boundaries with ourselves, we do not need to communicate it to others, right? We do not need to enforce it. When we ask someone to take care of us emotionally, we do need to communicate that and enforce that. But that's not a boundary, that's a request, right? So, example. So I know you're close friends with the person who sexually assaulted me, right? But when we spend time together, I'm going to need you to avoid updating me on that person's life, right? I do not want to stop interacting with you because you choose to continue to interact with that perpetrator, but hearing updates on their life triggers negative memories of what they did to me. So, can you avoid mentioning them when we spend time together? This is asking for consent, right? So, this is not a boundary, though, right? This is just saying, I'm triggered by this thing. Can you stop doing it, right? Can you stop talking about them? So, enforcement, if the person does not agree to stop talking about the perpetrator or through their behavior, right? They're communicating through their behavior that and you see it, they want to keep talking about them. Do not repeat yourself. They heard you the first time, and this is their decision. So instead of repeating yourself, exhausting, spend less time with them. Or when they start talking about that perpetrator, in the visit, in the phone call. You cannot control what they do or say, but you can control how you move around them. So sometimes we get boundaries confused, right? So as I'm talking about my boundary, I don't want to hear updates on my perpetrator's life. I don't. And so I'm going to ask you to emotionally support me by not talking about them while I'm here, right? However, if you continue to do that, I'm not going to remind you. You're just going to see me disappear from your life, probably. Or it'll be less time with me. And it is selfish to ask, oh, why aren't you spending time with me? That means you weren't listening when I told you something very serious that I needed you to support me in, right? I want you to avoid parenting partners or friends. People heard you the first time. They don't need reminding. They don't. They heard you. And they're either ignoring you or they're going to support you. Okay, question 6. Last week, who gave you emotional or financial support? Unlike the last question, right? I really like this question because it gives you time to stop and reflect. It gives you space to express gratitude for the support that you receive from others. I know the people that are attracted to this channel always say thank you, right? Always show gratitude in the moment. But it also feels good to reflect on it later. Emotional support looks like asking a friend if they have time to talk about something sad or happy going on in your life. Yes, yes. We need to first ask people if we are contacting them at a good time. Let's not just call someone up and start trauma dumping on them. We don't know where they are in their emotional life or physically, right? If they're standing in line at the DMV and you just start yelling and screaming and crying, everyone can hear that. Even if it's not on speakerphone, right? Everyone can hear that. When we ask for emotional support, we also need to be specific about what we are asking of them. I want to share some good news, right? So they know which energy to bring to the conversation. I need to talk about something difficult. And now they know, oh, I probably need privacy for this, right? Help people understand what kind of supportive energy to bring to the conversation. Sometimes we are broke and we need financial support. We need help paying a bill, we need help paying for a gift we want to give another person, etc., whatever, right? It is important to accept no when you ask for money. People with disposable income do not have you as a line item in their budget. So trust that when you ask for money and they say yes, they have made space for you in their budget. Oppositely, right, people with very little to give may need to say no so they can pay for their own responsibilities. What I'm saying is, don't count someone else's money. You don't know what it's earmarked for, right? So sometimes people say no to your request for money, even if they have it, for example, because they disagree with how you plan to spend it. And yeah, you're asking for a favor so they can use judgment. Example, for an example, if you are borrowing money to buy a gift, please do not buy the gift, right? And refrain from borrowing money to buy a gift. If you do not have enough money to buy a gift, right? Just don't buy a gift. Say congratulations or happy birthday. That will have to suffice. How would you feel if you knew a gift that you received meant someone else paid their bills late or not at all? It is hard to enjoy self-sacrificing gifts. I'm just going to be honest with it. If if you give me a gift and then the next week I hear from someone else or you complain about not being able to pay your rent, I don't want the gift anymore. And every time I see the gift, I'm going to think about you suffering because of the gift. Nothing is that important to me. I'm hoping it's not for you either, right? So only borrow money that you can pay back. If you know you cannot pay it back, ask for financial support, not a loan. We have to be so clear when we say, I need some money. I'm going to pay it back. If you're not going to pay it back, don't promise it. And don't say, can I have a loan, right? Because to make yourself feel better, be honest. I need some money and I don't know if I can pay you back. That is honest. Another honest line, though, is I need some money and I know I can't pay you back, right? Set realistic expectations. Relatives and friends know you well enough to know if you really need the money you are requesting, the money you're requesting, and if they will be repaid at a later date. You've already set up a reputation for that with your friends and relatives. So we can show appreciation for emotional and financial support by saying thank you. There is no need to make false promises of returning the favor if you can't, right? So don't promise something that's not realistic. Be honest with them so that they can be honest about if they can help you or not. We all have to be authentic here. Okay, so let's turn those tables around. Question 7 is, who did you support emotionally or financially last week? I like to ask this question because a lot of us, I'll take a deep breath, with childhood trauma, tend to think we are not good adult children. We are not good siblings. We are not good parents. We are not good friends, right? The negative self talk loop just goes. When we take stock of what we actually do for others, it boosts our self confidence if we're not self neglecting, right? But it boosts our, like, oh my gosh, I'm really good at supporting other people. We feel more competent because we know we have the skill set to help others. Not only can we navigate our own lives, we have the emotional capacity to help other people. It is so important to have emotionally supportive people in our lives. And so that means it's important for you to emotionally support the people you love. It is how we express our love for them. When we support someone financially, right, it is a gift to ourselves. It means that we have an abundance of reserves and we can share it with other people. Please understand, you do not have to share your earnings with anyone else. That's not a requirement for love. However, if a person you love asks for financial help and you have disposable income that you are not using at the moment, be generous. It is another way to express our love for another person. It is also how we develop confidence and pride in our own success. Like, oh my goodness, I made so much in my income, I have enough to share with others if I want to. It is hard to celebrate a success that only benefits you. Like, yeah, I'm really wealthy, I have all this money. I'm not saying this is a true statement, I'm giving you an example. Um, it's lonely, right? When you're the only one in the group with 6 figures, 7 figures, that you have all this disposable income, no one else has it. What kind of things can you do together, right? And it's also hard to celebrate getting a raise or bonuses, and then you have friends or family members who are going without. So initially, it feels really good to pay our bills on time or early, right? Dig ourselves out of debt, start investing. But after a while, most of the time, we feel the need to give back, right? So once you are financially stable, I don't mean you just paid your bills, right? I gave you a list of things, right? You need to be able to pay your bills on time or early and dig yourself out of debt and start investing. That means everything else is cream, right? We do feel this need to give back, some of us, because it feels good to help others, and that's okay. This financial support is not about loaning someone money, right? It is more about giving it freely and relieving the person of having to find a way to repay you later. I think this is an unpopular opinion, and I'm interested to hear feedback. A loan is not supportive to a broke person. Now they have to, so they don't have the money today, right? And now when they do get the money, they have to figure out how are they supposed to pay their bills and repay you without ruining the relationship. So they usually don't. And then it ruins the relationship. A financial gift is supportive. We can debate it. We can debate it, but alone is not supportive. It just causes stress for the other person. All right, last question, and then we can take our naps. What new habit do you need to start practicing this week? Or what old habit are you ready to retire this week? So we can look at last week and see which habits did not serve us. But this does not mean we are ready to give the habit up just yet. If we are ready to let it go, we can do it one day at a time, right? Harm reduction style is what I call it. I still stop, I will stop doing this thing one day a week for a month, and then 2 days a week for another month, and so on, right? It takes a long time to develop a habit. It will take a long time to extinguish it. When we want to start a new habit, that's a little bit different, right? We need to just be as patient with ourselves as when we're trying to get rid of something, right? We have to reflect on why we want to start the new habit, the benefits of the new habit, the changes to other parts of our lives that are required to support the new habit. Usually, if you want to start to do something new, practice a new behavior, it's not just affecting one part of your life, it's usually affecting two or three areas, right? And similar to extinguishing a habit, getting rid of it, one day this week I will do the new habit. I will do this for 1 month until I have adjusted, my life to support the new habit. And then you increase the number of days as needed each month. I understand the 60-day challenges, the 75 hards, things like that, but those are so strict. They allow very little room for error. I'm encouraging you to be gentle with yourself when you are trying something new. You deserve compassion and nurturing, not be mean to yourself boot camp, right? Let's not become our own bullies as adults. Let's avoid that. Let's become our own best friends and speak to ourselves in a kind and gentle way. So, what about you? What new habit will you try this week? Or which old habit are you ready to release? Think about it, and I will see you next week.